excessive slavery, deeply entrenched misogyny, and relentless practice of racism. Everyone hates the holy nation. And today, we join them. Meet our boy Nut. A simple holy nation citizen with a clear goal. Elevate out of the lowest ranks of society, establish a holy order, and destroy the Shek Kingdom. Impossible, you say? Let's find out. Ever since he was a little boy, Nut hated the Shek. He asked the Holy Lord Phoenix to let him fight the horned beasts. But first he had to prove himself by destroying the troublesome Flotsam ninjas. Much like your average part-time YouTuber, he had no skills whatsoever. He crawled out of his hometown of Blister Hill and waited until the Holy Nation Guard started fighting a group of river raptors. The filthy scavenger he was, Nut took their skins to sell them to the local shops in Blister Hill. And this is exactly what the first few hours of my playthrough looked like. Why go through all this torture, you ask? Well, to be able to create an army strong enough to fight the Flotsam ninjas and eventually the Shek, we'd need a training facility where we can train an army. And for that, we needed money. And a lot of it. And so, at Magikarp tier skill levels, scavenging river raptors is about the only way we're able to make some initial cash. At least until we can afford a roof above our heads. After a few hours of scurrying around Oakland's Prime and viciously pulling the skins of dead critters, Nut managed to make enough money to buy himself a copy of the Holy Flame. You see, in Holy Nation territory, it's either keep that book on hand or risk meeting a rather pointy end. Nut also hired his very first companion Bard to aid him on his noble quest. Nut and Bard had a lot in common. They both liked watching other people kill river raptors. This made them discover that river raptors love to raid Holy Nation farms for their crops, which made the farms hotspots for total massacre, and thus free skins. It also turned out that outside the gates of Bad Teeth, which isn't actually a bad remake of the 2007 blockbuster movie, but just another Holy Nation town in Kenshi, was also a great spot to farm the wet iguana skins. So after an excoriation spree of several in-game days, they made a decent sum of money. This money would be enough to buy a storm house to bolster their money-making operations, right? Welcome to the 2024 housing market, where the only house you are able to afford is either non-existent or in downtown San Francisco next to this kind person. The Holy Nation capital of Blister Hill only had small houses available, and the same in Bad Teeth, and even in the city of Shek not a single storm house was available to purchase. The only available building was a farmhouse in the middle of the desert. Well, at least they had something, and a nice neighbor they could buy and sell supplies from. It's also situated in between all of the Holy Nation cities, so it's convenient for future resource runs at least. Why go through all this hassle to buy a storm house specifically, you ask? Unlike real life, the world of Kenshi is about progression, and progress is achieved through reading books at a research bench. And the level 2 research bench simply doesn't fit into a small shed. Before we can research the good stuff that has to do with the Holy Nation training facility, we need a way to make more money to pay for the copious amounts of research books we were going to need. Bart started looking into armor crafting to at least make it worth my carpal tunnel syndrome from clicking the frigging river raptors, which would eventually make him able to turn the hides into the latest fashion craze. The house rules were simple. Bart was gonna stay at home doing the leather tanning and researching, and Nut was out in the desert scavenging for more raptor hides and buying food and supplies. The crafted leathers from the tanning bench turned out to be not significantly worth more than the raw hides. But the tanning did level up Bart's armor smithing skill to eventually make him able to turn those leathers into actual armors, which was hopefully gonna make us a good profit. However, when he got to armor smithing, the armors didn't really turn out all that well, and with no money left in the bank, Nut had to sell some of the leather supply to feed them. Tough times. But after a little while, the armors that Bart made were increasing in quality. He managed to make one armor of high grade and one of specialist grade, which made us some good money. In the meantime, our guys also gracefully kebabed a passing hiver for his backpack, with the assistance of our new bone dog, Hyde, which Nut couldn't resist buying from the local animal trader. Oh, just look at his little cute bone-plated face. Okay. Anyway, the backpack was going to significantly boost the efficiency of our hide plucking and armor selling grind. The guys were making great progress on the money side, but everything changed when the Triangle Bandits attacked. Nut, Bart and Hyde did their best to defend everything they had and tried to fight off the Triangle Bandits, but they were harshly reminded of the fact that they kinda suck at life. Fortunately, our neighbor's bovine companions managed to drive off the last of the bandits, while our trio lay unconscious on the ground. When they awoke, they feigned death until the last of the bandits were gone, and then dragged themselves to safety for some patching up. This near-death experience was the moment that I realized that, living on a farm, in the wide open, far away from any kind of civilization or protection, in a game that is advertised as having a difficulty rating of above average.
You know, I'm pretty sure this is a bad idea.
so I prioritized finding more volunteers to recruit to the crew. On the bright side, most of the neighbors' bulls died, so we turned them into Krabby Patties to feed us for the upcoming days. We found another guy named Bart wanting to join us, but I called him Lard to save myself from having a brain aneurysm as well as, haha, fat. Now Lard's gonna take over Nut's work of running around and doing shitty errands, which frees up Nut's hands for some rooftop strength training to actually kick off our great let's create a holy order plan. Lard managed to buy some electrical components from a wandering trader and we built those into a Tesla device, used to train toughness, after which we recruited researcher and medic Whitetooth, who was really going to speed up the research. And we also recruited Cactus, who wasn't really good at anything, but could potentially be molded into a great warrior. The base was doing pretty well, but we were still just a bunch of rednecks in a sweatshop. Not exactly what you would call an army. We need to get some armor to get going. After a little while, Lard was on his usual raptor skinning trip when he saw an unconscious Holy Nation sentinel next to a dead pack of raptors. It ain't stealing if nobody sees it, right? After recruiting Pan, I started thinking about crafting armor. However, to be able to research heavy armor smithing, we need engineering research. And I had no idea where to get that. So we just continued our daily business. Bart built his very first masterwork armor, which sold for a good amount of money. Which was amazing because now there was a lot of mouths to feed. Especially after we recruited Griffin, who's an engineer. Which is a great addition to the team since we're hopefully soon gonna be building our base. And after that we also recruited Stelefia. Yeah, the farmhouse is nice and all, but you can only fit so many brooms in a barrel. So, finally, after 23 days of grinding river raptor hides and creating a sweatshop that made a pretty good income, it was time to start building the base of Nut's very own holy order. First, we put down a stone mine, a stone processor and an iron refinery. This made us able to create infinite amounts of building materials to build the rest of the training facility with. And until we have slaves to work the mines? Yeah, sorry guys. So after visiting a few villages without any slaves for sale, Lard put his pride aside and went to the United Cities. Here in the city of Stode he found Jewel, Peace, Orek, Kank and Twink at the local slave shop. You won't say it when you look at them right now, but they were destined to become the elite troops for the newest Holy Nation order. Back at the base, Wrestling and Griffin did a great job in building the defensive walls, and the guys in the sweatshop were keeping the treasury stocked. Once the wall was finished, it was finally time to start building some turrets to assist in protecting us from potential enemy raids. We also built a well and started farming green fruit within the safe walls of our base. And yes, this new Holy Nation order is going to eat nothing other than boiled eggplants. It was now time to get our brothers out of this fully exposed farmhouse before they'd get clapped by wild triangle bandits. So we built a bigger house inside of the walls of the base and set it up as a new crafting area. Subsequently, we built a house close to the farms dedicated for cooking. Oh boy, I can't wait to get my hands on some of those grilled eggplants. The bigger roof of the new sweatshop was a great area for the new training facilities. And boy was it popular. Like protein shake slurping gym bros, they preyed on the bench press like their lives depended on it. And seeing what the alternative is, I kinda get it. Lard was all over the continent trying to persuade the local PTSD suffering population in joining their holy cause. So we hired Nessemin to take over his role as an errand runner and bought the group some more Holy Nation armor. However, we didn't really have any means to make any weapons yet, so Lard bought a blueprint to make ringed sabers, which, unlike real-world sabers, are more like huge fucking meat cleavers with rings on them for added aerodynamics. Since Wrestling proved to be a good-for-nothing loser, we assigned him to become our weaponsmith. This got me thinking. We already have someone who's a great armorsmith. Why not start making our very own armors? Armor that is actually called Holy Order armor. Let's go! To be able to research armor crafting, we need an object called engineering research. And for advanced weaponsmithing, we need an ancient science book. And my intuition told me that they should be around over here. So we sent Lard over to pick it up. After traversing multiple deserts, he arrived. And I realized you actually need lockpicking to open it. Whoopsie. We were lucky to just moments later get an opportunity to test our skills in actual combat against some triangle bandits. And we did a pretty good job. All this training was actually starting to pay off. Today it is bandits, tomorrow Le Shek. Time to give this place a proper name. The Holy Order shall from now on be called the Holy Order of Okron Slongus. For we are going to penetrate the Shek's filthy butt. Lard was now back at the base and we got him to do some lockpick training, after which we sent him back to the ruin with the locked chest. And there we have it, an engineering research. In the meantime, Nesamin found the blueprints for samurai leg plates and plated long boots. And with that we were ready to start crafting some armors. Bart has made us hundreds of traders letters, so his armor crafting skill was through the roof. After a few days, Lord also found us a bunch of new slaves, and we put them into their very own tab and onto the farms, so the troops could now fully focus on their training. With the coming of the slaves, Nut took a moment to appreciate what they have already accomplished. He started out with nothing, plucking the hides of dead river raptors, and here he stands, in his very own Holy Order base, built with his own sweat and tears, in the name of their god Okron. They were organized like a well-oiled machine, each person playing a specialist role. Wrestling was now close to being a master weaponsmith. He had crafted dozens of swords that earned the group thousands of cats and great quality weapons. Bart, the master armor crafter, had produced hundreds of armors, and with the river raptors now nearly extinct, he fully focused on creating the highest tier plated armor for the paladins. The slaves had the sole task of doing slave stuff, while Griffin and Griffin were busy operating the machines. Meanwhile, Jewel tirelessly cooked copious amounts of green fruits, and the paladins, they trained like there was no tomorrow. It is time to make the Phoenix proud. It is time to make Okron proud. They recruited Neptide, Ridley, Ninja Bob, Ninja Dave, and Ninja Clara to fill in the paladin ranks even further. We gave the prisoners we captured special training sabers, and we also did that with our own guys. These weapons don't deal any damage, but they do level up your weapon skill, and pretty fast too. So, this is what we did. Yup. We let them loose, and we had our guys fight them. And we did this for an ungodly amount of time. We stopped the training just moments before it given me an apoplexy, and Nut rallied all of the 14 warriors. They said their last prayers and headed to the Flotsam village, all the way north into the hidden forest. They were stopped by a guard, but a little bit of fake news let them through. Inside, Nut wasted no time and talked to Moll, the Flotsam leader. And with a single sentence, he set the tone: "We swear allegiance to the Phoenix." Easy peasy, pineapple squeezy. The paladins of the Holy Order of Okron Slongus proudly marched their way to Blister Hill, with Nut carrying the unconscious Mole on his back. Upon arrival, the Holy Nation guards couldn't believe their eyes, and the Holy Lord Phoenix couldn't thank them enough. In a grand gesture, he granted them the blessing to crusade for the Shek Kingdom, along with a chalice of fire. A chalice? Really? With the Phoenix blessing, the Holy Order of Okron Slongus now embarked on their crusade for the Shek Kingdom. Finally. The strategy was clear. They would work their way up, starting from the outpost of Last Stand, then the Great Fortress, followed by the city of Squin, and lastly, Atmag, the Shek Kingdom's capital where Queen Asada resides. She is the toughest Shek of all, guarded by the so-called 5 Invincibles. The Holy Order was ready. First, they set their sights on the settlement of Last Stand. They approached the walls of this hellhole and just started the battle. After the first few blows were exchanged, it became clear that the Shek were far more powerful than the Flotsam ninjas or the bandits we faced before. Hours passed as they fought, and both sides were taking heavy hits. Despite the fierce resistance, the Holy Order managed to destroy the outpost of Last Stand. And so, Okron tasted the Shek blood and lusted for more. The army, badly injured and far from home, found a secluded place in the mountains to set up camp and heal from their injuries before taking on the Great Fortress. Ironically named, as it was a lot smaller than Last Stand, making it much easier to bash in every Shek skull. After another healing sesh, our guys headed to Squin. This was the first real town we were going to fight, and significantly larger than the outposts. We had to be a bit more cautious, so we lured out the guards at the front gates, who'd probably have heard about us by now. It tends to stand out when you wipe out 2 camps. Probably all of their family. We continued into the city and fought off the guards and even the civilians. While they're just innocent townsfolk, they are still Shek. Squin was noticeably harder to conquer. There were a lot of guys there and they hit really hard. After dispatching every single hornhead in Squin, we looted the entire food supply of the city for the sole reason of being hungry. Yeah, I don't think they're gonna need it anymore. The sacking of Squin was the last appetizer for Okron before he would finally be able to taste the soul of the highest ranked Shek, Queen Asada. Or as the Shek called her, the Stone Golem. She's guarded by the 5 Invincibles. And oh boy, did I underestimate them. In an alternate universe, we ran up to them and... yeah. In yet another alternate universe, we tried to pull her outside, hoping we had a better chance with our big weapons.
sorry, but that's pathetic.
However, in our own universe we easily killed the guards at the front gate and not went inside the lion's den to aggro Asada and pull her outside of the city walls. And a long and hard battle took place. It was horrible. But after fighting for hours and taking a lot of heavy hits, we eventually managed to knock her out. Fight wasn't over yet though, because all of the paladins were crippled or at least wounded. So getting away from the Shek wasn't all that easy. However, we decided to just sacrifice Twig and pull the last few Shek warriors into the desert and finish them off there. We lost Twig, but we got Asada back for it. And we hung her on a crucifix in the middle of the base as an ornament. Isn't that the most holy nation thing you can think of? Anyway, this is how we built a holy order to exterminate the Shek Kingdom. Completely from scratch. Nut is proud of himself and of his crew. And I am proud of you for watching all the way through this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and a special thanks to my patrons. If you liked my video, consider becoming a patron or channel member and get early access to future videos. See you guys next time. Bye.